Charles, you wanted to discuss the Halo episode 2, what all happened without giving too many spoilers. And this is a spoiler alert, but without giving too many spoilers, your opinions on the episode, what happened in it, and why do you think this might be the worst decision the Halo series has made so far?
With the Halo soundtrack and the background a cappella.
Shut your mouth.
Mostly thinking a good chunk of this episode was with Chief and the girl Quan traveled to a place called the Rubble. It's a place that was mentioned in one of the books where thinking the worst of the worst go to hide out, and the people who are just trying to live their lives without worry about the people coming after them. And Chief freaking meets a character that named Soren, who's another Spartan that escaped from UNSC and is now the leader of all the people on the Rubble and has a wife and kid. And he still has part of his Spartan armor for some weird reason. But he also has a bit badly injured hand too. And the two of them are like freaking really close, even after the freaking shit that because Soren is pissed off at Chief, only giving him 5 minutes to freaking get away from the UNSC before told everybody about it. Copyrighted!
I just figured while you were explaining Halo, just have the Halo theme going in the background. Continue.
I want to get this thing copyrighted. But anyways, these two of them
Why we got a cappella?
The two of them freaking got reacquainted, and they're still freaking friends all these years later. And Chief showed Soren the artifact from the first episode, and after a while, Soren brought Chief to the insane lunatic who apparently had been captured by the Covenant at one point, and that's what made him crazy. And because Soren figured that the crazy dude would know what the thing was that Chief had, and the crazy dude freaking ends up shoving this thing freaking in the Chief's hands, and it freaking his memories again, freaking also sets off everyone else in the freaking this like prison area because there was like a bunch of loonies in the place and everything. And Chief also leaves Quan with Soren to keep her safe because UNSC and thinking this dude that the UNSC that's an insurrectionist leader, but he's one that's made a deal with the UNSC to work with them and for them and everything. Once Quan dead, so Chief freaking goes back to the UNSC and is more than willing to face the consequences for what he did in the. So. Also, and there's also some UNSC political bullshit going on. Thinking about Cortana, thinking his eyes open at the end of the episode. Spoiler, by the way. But freaking mostly that Halsey was finally able to get it approved where she could actually, be able to work on her Cortana program without any bullshit. And there was a freaking the scene where they were on high charity, freaking where the elite that saw Chief first activate the relic in the prior episode was showing them and this girl. Covenant had rescued, who works for the Covenant and everything, and predicts where these relics are and everything. Literally drew a circle in the air with his finger of the Halo ring, and now freaking this girl freaking trying to get the prophets to freaking let her go after it because she tells them she could easily get it, unlike their warriors and everything. And in the weirdest fucking scene I've ever seen in a freaking TV show, and I've seen freaking Game of Thrones. There's a weird ass shit in that show, and I have seen some shit, but this is the most awkward freaking thing I've ever seen. Then you freaking have this scene freaking where this girl slowly is stripping her shit off, and she's literally shown naked from the back and kind of the front too. And she's like looking at herself like, what the holy crap, this is freaking what I look like, and it's like, lady, you are a freaking human, and you know this, and you're looking at yourself like, what the fuck?
So there was titties.
Not really, they didn't show anything. At least they might have, but I might have showed a little bit, but I freaking wasn't paying really attention. I was just freaking cringing watching this girl slowly freaking strip her shit off, and it's like, this is not fucking Halo!
I'm gonna need you to do a special request. I need you to do a special request. Go back and we'll rewatch it. And if there's titties, let me know.
Resources are scarce. We're dying out here.
Free porn's not a thing anymore.
This is freaking the worst episode yet, and it's like, this is like, what is this show freaking for? Who is this show for? When I think of Halo, I think of all the years I've spent shooting and punching aliens in the face with a shotgun. And fighting zombies, I figured he could shoot me, but freaking you get the idea.
Okay, so So then what I'm
And teabag
understanding.
people occasionally.
So then what I'm getting the understanding is, so with the episode 2 of the Halo series, or Halo TV show, whatever it's called, it's not great, and that it seems like they really stepped back from the fighting and they focus more on their corrupted storyline. Is that right?
Focus more on freaking dialogue and freaking exposition that wasn't all that great, and freaking weird ass shit that is, I guess, is supposed to go and lead it in whatever happens in the next episode this Thursday. But I don't know. I freaking just hope that freaking they freaking start having more freaking the shit that people actually want to see when they think of Halo, and that's freaking Chief, Marines, Covenant, guns, explosions, freaking people get teabagged. You get the idea.
Whoa, does Master Chief actually teabag somebody?
No.
Not canonically, but
He's thinking about it. He's like, well, to hop up and down. Okay, so then if you had to rate this episode individually, if you had to rate it from 1 out of 10, what would you give it?
the mightiest deja vu.
That's the
Only because I know there's probably some people who would like probably got their rocks off seeing the freaking view of the freaking girl's ass.
Okay, but what would you rate it?
4
A 4! Oh my god!
out of 10.
Oh,
Still!
okay.
A 4
Well,
out
okay,
of-
no, I mean the 4 is a
uh,
failure.
Well,
And that's
Charles,
being generous because I still fucking want to see what the fuck's gonna happen with this show.
If it's college scaling, it's an exceptional failure.
if it's fucking golf, it's a extreme failure as well. But if well, the reason why that's a big deal is last week you voted. We asked you the exact same question, and you voted it. What was it? An 8?
6.
No, you didn't vote it a 6. You voted it higher. It's either 8 or 7. You voted it last week. So you voted the first episode at an 8 or a 7. This time you voted it at a 4 to a 3 because you said it would be less, but you're trying to get it something. So that's a huge number change. Like, you expected it to be at like a 5 or a 6 at least if it was a downgrade for you, but that's insane. So what do you think that they did to the episode that they should have done better? Like, if you had to go in the studios right now and tell them what they should have changed, not add in, but what they should have changed about the episode, what would be a quick, like, something you could tell them?
Show me more of the shit I expect from the fucking games!
So more action, more things that relate back to the actual Halo games. Like, you want more action, you want more of the storyline that at least can relate with the games. Maybe put in actual, like, some Easter eggs and stuff like that of the game, so it kind of helps tie you back into it. Even though it's not canon, but it still, like, helps you guide back into the games.
I want to see more of the freaking shit that's supposed to be going on because they keep mentioning there's a fucking war going on with the Covenant. We've only had one fucking episode, like a couple of scenes with freaking that actually had the Covenant involved, besides the freaking scene on High Charity I was talking to the prophets and the One Elite. I'm
Okay.
still trying to figure out, they showed Mercy and the girl talked to Mercy. I just want to know, figure which one of the other two is regret and truth.
Dude, you said show mercy, and I was thinking, like, I'm not going to kill you. Show mercy.
I'm talking about the prophet.
Yeah,
You're going to them asking to show mercy. just give her the frickin' guns. That's what I came here to. That's what I'm
That's
imagining.
what I wanted. Give the girl a gun.
If I ever saw the fucking prophet, I'm putting a bullet in their ass.
Airsoft.
Beat me to it this time.
Yeah, I was
You were
actually
wrong, but it's not even getting it right. It's just the answer is all where all the credit goes.
You have to be the first. Have to be the first. You have to be the best.
I should have known he was coming back with the as soon as he from now on, as soon as he leaves frame, airsoft.
Just hurry up and jump to
Yeah.
it.
So I want to invoke a veering off privileges on this because it's got me thinking about something.
Yeah.
I think this is a lot about marketing and it's a lot about managing expectations because it's called Halo. Charles has every right to expect it to be like Halo.
100%.
To have the Halo DNA and to have the same fun watching that people would have fun playing it. Now, if it took place in the Halo universe, but it was called like The Pillars, and it was based off the ships and how the ships go around the galaxy and help people with their problems. If it was called the Spartans, it was some variation of something within the Halo world, but it wasn't called Halo. I think that would go a long way, because that would try that again. People's expectations would be much more managed. It would pre-conclude what it's going to be about. So if you call it Halo, you're expecting
Yeah.
And there's a game I played lately that I like a lot, and it's called Don't Starve. I've talked to you guys about it a couple of times. It's not Orwellian. It's Lovecraftian, because there's a lot of like eldritch horrors in it. And by the name of the title suggests, it's a survival game. So as soon as you enter the world, which they call the Constant, you're a race against it's a race against your own stomach. So you got to find food, you got to be able to cook it, chop down trees. Basically, if you've played any survival game, even Minecraft to a certain degree, even by Minecraft, it's a lot of those same beats. Now, the problem though is one of our friends just like he gave up on the game because we survived. And the next part of the gameplay wasn't appealing to him. It didn't occur to him that once you get out of survival, that's when the game really takes off and you start going on adventures and seeing the rest of the world. So I think part of the problem, again, was because it was called Don't Starve. His expectations were led to believe a certain something in specific, when in actuality, the game is much more expansive. So like if it was called The Constant, then people get the idea that, oh, this is a persistent world. Yeah, it's brutal, and I'm going to die of hunger if I'm not careful. But by calling it that, players might get the idea that it's more of like a lived experience. It's more of a social thing. It's something that you interact with maybe on a day-to-day basis or a week-to-week basis. And it's persistent, which it is, because the game doesn't end until the players figure out how to end it. Same with Minecraft. It would be like if Minecraft was called Survive the Night. Or if No Man's Sky was called Crash Landing, or if Ark was called Dinosaurs. You have to manage people's expectations, and a lot of that is actually just in the title alone. So Charles, my question to you now is, it's good if it was based off Halo, but it wasn't called Halo. It's against the law. They can't call it Halo. What could they call it? So at least you have a clear idea of what it's actually going to be about. You can answer this one too, Jordan. I would call it the Spartans.
Honestly, that's what I was gonna end up doing. Is like then have like Master Chief appear from maybe time to time. They really want to market off that, and that would help trailers and stuff like that. And they could go off with the storyline a little bit, and not be like, but canon. Like they could have more freedom to do that.
Yep. Yeah, naming is everything. That's why to me the Resident Evil series will always be Biohazard, because Resident Evil makes sense for the first game, and then it quickly drops off all the way through until you get to Resident Evil 7, which incidentally is one that's subtitled Biohazard, which is extra funny. But like statistically, very few of the Resident Evil games actually take place in a place of residence. It's a police station, laboratories. Okay, well, castle.
Everyone
but,
is
come on,
laboratory,
me a bone here.
But, yeah.
Yeah, but pretty much everyone in the. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Everyone has a laboratory. So imagine if it was called Biohazard, and then the subtitle was like Resident Evil. Then part 2, Biohazard, City of Evil.
That's
Biohazard
what
3
they
would
actually
be
tried
Nemesis.
to do.
That one's fine.
Yeah, that's what they was trying to do with it. But to kind of wrap it back into for Charles's thing with the name. Charles, what would you name the Halo series?
Sorry, but I just want to see teach it tiny quick because there's a quick factoid. The reason why they couldn't call it Biohazard was because a rock band was also called Biohazard, and they had a litigious issue with it. Yeah, look it up. See, I had to make that point. That was important.
No,
okay, done.
Bet. Okay.
I would have just called it "You Wanna See a Halo Story." Well, at least that would have made more sense.
That right there. Yeah,
that's really good.
That would have done it.
Yeah, I fall off a little bit with like a Halo story because I know there's like Rogue One, a Star Wars story, but to me, Rogue One is just called Rogue One. Like I don't say a Star Wars story in conversation, but for marketing purposes, still the best choice they can make. Yeah, UNSC, a Halo story. Perfect. Perfect.
Because then they would see that this, guys, then people would get it. Oh, so this show is going to have a lot of the crap that goes on involving the shit, political crap that goes behind the scenes of with the UNSC and Oni and shit. And occasionally, we'll see Figure Master Chief doing what he does best with his fire team.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, your name's better than ours, by the way. Like straight up. That's
that
a really
one
good
actually.
title
Well,
for
we
it.
also just like kind of
We haven't watched it, so there's
we haven't watched it. We're literally kind of like learning this from Charles a little bit, so we're just kind of taking a little bit of knowledge we know about it and trying to just throw something on the wall and see if it sticks. But that's a really good name. So before we move on to a final subject, or before we move on to our next topic with this, I want to see, like, because this is all based around Paramount Plus, whatever. I heard it both ways. Whatever it's called, Paramount Plus. This is what it's all revolving around. Is it worth it to get a Paramount Plus subscription just to watch the Halo series?
I mean, if you're willing to go through what a lot of other people do with some of these shows and these streaming services or whatever, to go through like a bunch of episodes of shit that makes you question why is this called this, just to get that one fucking episode that actually shows the shit you want to see. So far, that's been the first episode, kind of. Then freaking, I know if you're like me and you're freaking have freaking hopes that this shit will actually be what you were expecting it to be, freaking when you're waiting for it all this time, then yes, you know if you have money to blow.
And you have money to blow.
That's the biggest question everyone has, is if you have the money
pass.
to blow. So, without obviously knowing, I can't say too much about it, but so what Charles is saying is he would recommend it if you have the money, if you have the time, and you afford it.
Yeah, and if you're a Halo fan and you just want, if you haven't seen it yet.
That's like the exact same recommendation people are making for the Star Wars Galactic Cruise. Hey, you've got the money, you got the time, and you're into it.
And you've watched the previous series before that, and then the canon knockoff over here, and you played the Lego games. Have you played the Lego games? Yeah, okay, then you could do that.
Let's keep your expectations low.
I think that's good. I think that's pretty good for like anything coming out in this year. Is just keep your expectations low.